Hey guys, today I'm going to talk about Anavar and everything about Anavar that I know, what I've experienced is probably the anabolic I've done most, other than testosterone. It was the first anabolic I did. Believe it or not, I ran a Anavar only cycle, and that was actually around the time I started this channel. That's what I was documenting, and I wouldn't recommend Anavar only cycle, by the way, obviously, but this is not what this video is about. This video is about everything that I know that Anavar does physiologically, how to run it properly, how to get the most out of it without running into the side effects. Because I know Anavar is always preached as being that safe, totally safe compound, but it really isn't. It has its own kind of quirks to it, its own negative sides and negative things you have to look out for as well, okay? So I'll get into that eventually as well. But first of all, Anavar is a DHT compound. It doesn't convert to estrogen, which makes it highly desirable. It doesn't have a negative effect on liver like other orals, although I'm sure if you ran a shit ton of it for a long period of time, it might. But it doesn't have the same effect, especially when you run it sublingually, under the tongue, as opposed to just chewing it up and swallowing it, or just swallowing it. First of all, when you chew it up and swallow it, it has a bit of a stronger effect if you want to try that out. But I wouldn't even recommend that. I recommend crushing it up, put it under your tongue, it dissolves within a few minutes, and then that hits you faster, the peaks faster, which is more desirable. So you time it right before you work out, because it has a pre-workout effect. And second of all, it bypasses the liver, because it goes straight into the bloodstream, which is great. So there's that. The other thing I recommend, some people take it throughout the day, which is smart if you're going to run Anavar as a primary anabolic. What do I mean by primary anabolic? Like if you're running only test and Anavar, or test pre-bolin Anavar, then maybe you can run it throughout the day, because it has a very short half-life, so you want it to have it continuously in your blood level. You just want to concentrate in the blood levels for that period of time, so it's having that constant anabolic effect. That's what you're in for. And maybe a lot of athletes and even bodybuilders, whatever, that's what's desirable. But if you're running other primary agents that are compounds that are pretty strong, like nandrolone, and even or higher amounts of testosterone and such, you don't necessarily need to be running Anavar, which especially in like a 20 milligrams a day, like spread throughout the day, right? If you're doing a large amount, you might want to spread it throughout the day. But if you're only running 20, even 50 milligrams, I only recommend doing it before you work out for that strong pre-workout effect. And then all the other anabolics are already have the anabolic properties you need. It's not like you need a boost in that per se, although Anavar would do that. But what Anavar is really going to do well is it activates the central nervous system. So when you go into the gym, you get a bit of a beast mode effect, okay? Not as strong as other compounds like Anadrol, other oral compounds, that is. But it still has it. I'm going to say it's around 50% that of Anadrol. So it's still there. And the other thing it does really well is you become vascular as fuck, okay? Like when I'm running Anavar, at I recommend that the ideal dose is around 40 or 50 milligrams, although you can get away with 20. But when I'm running 40 or 50 milligrams at like pre-workout, and I'm in the gym and I'm like doing bicep curls in the mirror, like my whole forearms and everything, our veins are just popping out like crazy, like veins, thick ones, like big earthworms under my skin or something. It's like, and you don't know, like I get that other regardless to some extent, but not like this. And so it increases the blood flow to a substantial degree, which then increases the pump. So you're bringing a lot more blood to your extremities, to your directly to your muscles, which is going to add a great pump effect, which is good. And I believe the pump effect isn't just something that's temporary. It actually contributes to bringing metabolites and such to the muscle, which is going to cause the muscle to grow. Like if you're eating well and you're bringing in the food, the nutrition is in your bloodstream, and then you're bringing nutritious blood to the muscle, it's only common sense then that the muscle is going to be fed, the tissue is going to be fed as well. So there's that. Now I'll get into that. That's the primary that I'm going to talk about here. I could probably talk about a few other things, but that's the primary benefit you get from Anavar. A little bit of a beast mode, a little bit of a better pump, strength increase. Like you're going to get, if you're doing like tricep extensions, you're going to get an extra like 20% or 30% more reps in, maybe. Yeah, around that I would say. I don't know, give or take a few. But so that's good, right? And the more reps you get, the more pump you get, the more stronger you get, the bigger you get. Now the side effects. If you run it too much of it, it's going to potentially hurt your digestion a little bit, which is undesirable, especially when you're trying to grow. You want to eat food, and if you have a stomach full of chemicals, you know what I mean, and it affects you, it kind of hurts your system, right? Your whole digestive system. It's going to potentially affect the way you eat, your nutrition, which isn't going to be a good thing. Doesn't necessarily have to, but some guys do note that. And that's with orals in general. Although Anavar is generally pretty good when it comes to it, but it's still there. It's still present. Second of all, it's going to potentially tax your organs still. Like I said, it doesn't really affect the liver too much, but that still potential is there. Long-term use of any orals, it's methylated still, I believe. So that's going to cause potentially taxing of the liver, and I think Anavar especially does to the kidneys a little bit more than other compounds. So again, just something to note there. The big one that is of concern, which is why I'm not even going to run it this cycle, is because it really crushes your HDL. HDL being the healthy lipids, healthy cholesterol that is in the body, which is good for cardiovascular health. And that's not something you really want to fuck with, especially long term. Like you could get away with it for a few weeks. That's why I only recommend running Anavar for 6 weeks. So if you crush your HDL for 6 weeks, it'll bounce back. And also supplement good things like fish oils or whatever that'll help with that. But regardless, that's a bad. Crushing your HDL is not a good thing. Not a good thing. So especially if you're doing it all the time. There's other compounds that'll as well crush your HDL, like Masteron does to an extent as well. But Anavar is the one that really does it. The other side effect that I don't really hear people talking about is that it could potentially, since it affects your central nervous system, you might be a bit more touchy than normal. You might be a bit more snappy. You might your fight mechanism, your fight or flight mechanism, your sympathetic nervous system might be a little bit more on edge, a little bit more snappy. So you gotta be careful of potentially more road rage, fighting with your wife, fighting with your family, etc. Fighting in general could be there. But that fight can also be channeled into something good. Like if you're a boxer, take Anavar, channel that fight into actually fighting, so sparring somebody or hitting the bag extra hard. So it's good. It's also a good thing too, right? Or going to the gym and you have that fight mode that you're in, a beast mode, and you make you hit those max reps or something, right? Get those extra reps and go right to failure, which is a good thing too, right? So the nervous system activation is the one why I like it, but again, it's not necessary. I think a lot of guys go to it because it's the safe compound a lot of guys talk about, and they want to add something to their TRT or their just steroid stack in general. But if you plan your injectable stack properly, I really don't think Anavar is even really needed for your average guy. Sure, you could do it. Sure, you could get benefits from it, but I don't even think it's needed. I think if you're running a good testosterone base, Masteron, 1-to-1 roughly ratio with the test, and even adding something like a little bit of nandrolone, which isn't going to have the estrogenic effect, which isn't going to have you can run it longer than 6 weeks, right? Because it's not going to you're not going to get cooked on it for 6 weeks and then having to stop. You run nandrolone potentially indefinitely if you run the right amount of it. Granted, you're not abusing it. So something like that, I think, is going. If you run that, like those three combinations, you're still going to get the beast mode in the gym. you're still going to get amazing pumps, and you're not going to crush your HDL. So that's why I believe Anavar isn't necessarily needed, although I'll be frank with you guys, I love it, and I probably will run it in the future, just not this particular cycle. So yeah, the reason why I also want to comment on Anavar, I know like in a lot of my videos I see people commenting on videos I made like over a year ago and such, and Anavar one is always a popular one. It's always one people have questions on. So I guess I should get right into what I would recommend dosing wise. Okay, so I talked about before that I wouldn't recommend dosing it throughout the day unless it's going to be a primary compound they're doing, or unless you're doing lots of it, because I wouldn't recommend doing 100 milligrams of Anavar just pre-workout. I would split it like maybe 50 pre-workout and then 50 later in the day, depending on when you work out, essentially in the day, or maybe do 50 in the morning and then 50 before you work out later in the day. But I wouldn't even recommend doing 100. So my dose range I would recommend is between 20 and 50, because under 20 it's really minimal. Like there's almost not even a point of doing it. You still get some effect, but it's like meh. So 20 is where it's actually kind of like, okay, here it is. And 50 is the top range where I would recommend running it to, especially just as that 50 milligram dose pre-workout. You're gonna be you're gonna have the best gym sessions in your life potentially. I don't want to like, again, romanticize it, because at the same part I'm telling you, like, you don't necessarily have to do it, but I'm just being real with you. Yeah, you run 50 milligrams pre-workout, you're gonna be on fire in the gym with a nice pump. So the other way I would recommend doing it, this is kind of even a more safer route, but it's also effective, is only doing it like once a week. On a really big on a big day, working out, pre-workout, 50 milligrams, just once a week. You know, you're not going to have it built up in your system, like, you know, having it in your blood all the time, doing that anabolic effect that Anavar does really well. Actually has pretty good anabolic properties. But it's going to have that pre-workout drive still effect. You're still going to get the pre-workout effect. It's still going to affect your central nervous system, because the half-life of it is only like 18 hours, or what is it? Yeah, 18 hours. I forget off the top of my head. It's less than a day, so you can do it just one day a week pre-workout. You're still going to have some effect off it, and I really don't think it's going to crush. It's not going to crush your HDL. So that's another way you could do it, once to twice. I wouldn't recommend more than 3 times. You're kind of pushing it. 4 times you might as well just be doing it every day. So that's how you can run Anavar potentially more smartly, and I think that's horrible grammar, but better than if you just do it every day, and then for 6 days a week, 6 weeks essentially, 7 days a week for 6 weeks, then you're potentially going to run into some side effects from it. Also, I should mention one more thing, is I find by week 5, maybe 4 or 5 of running Anavar, I don't know, I just don't feel, something kind of feels off, but it's kind of okay, because I know it's coming. I run it at the end of the cycle anyway, so I know I'm coming to the end of the cycle. I know I'm going to be going back onto TRT, so at the end of the cycle, if I'm kind of feeling like shit anyway, it's like, I know in my back of my mind, in 2 weeks, just give it 2 weeks, and then I'll go off and I'll be fine. So it does kind of, I think it kind of makes you feel like shit a bit too, a little bit, to an extent, after like being on it for a while. So I'll leave it there, guys. I think that's everything I want to talk about Anavar. I really can't think of anything else to really talk about when it comes to it. So I'll leave it there, guys. Also, I guess I should say, it also kind of burns fat, but very mildly. You might notice, like on that 6-week cycle, that you kind of trim up a little bit, but it's not one that's going to be like a huge fat burner. You're not like, it's not like you're not going to burn mad fat on it, but that's still there. Okay. I'll leave it there, guys. Thanks for watching. Leave in your comment section below your experience of Anavar, whether you're considering trying it, or if you have done it. Do you like it? You don't like it? Your experience is good, because that drives people who want to learn more about it. Seeing the comment section, having discussion about it really helps them come to a decision as well. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. Peace.